Everyone thinks they know Kenya. They see pictures of vast savannas, majestic lions, and iconic acacia trees silhouetted against a fiery sunset. It's the land of the Great Migration, of safari jeeps filled with eager tourists, all searching for a glimpse of the Big Five. And while that Kenya is undeniably beautiful, it's only one chapter of a much larger, more complex story. I felt a pull toward the pages that are rarely read, the places whispered about by locals but seldom visited by outsiders. I was searching for a different kind of wild, not just in the landscape but within myself. I wanted to see the Kenya that existed beyond the postcards, a place that would challenge my perceptions and force me to grow. My soul was calling for a transformation, a shedding of an old skin, and I knew I wouldn't find it on a well-trodden path. It was time to answer the call. Solo travel. Exploring Kenya's hidden gems. The decision to travel solo is a powerful one. For many, it's a terrifying thought. What about safety? What about loneliness? Won't you be scared? These questions echoed in my mind, voiced by concerned friends and my own inner critic. But underneath the fear was a stronger, more insistent voice, a voice that spoke of freedom. I yearned for the liberty to wake up and decide my day on a whim, to follow a dusty road just to see where it led, to linger for hours in a market without a schedule to keep. Solo travel wasn't about being alone. It was about being completely and utterly in charge of my own adventure. That felt like the ultimate form of empowerment. Of course, the practicalities were daunting. I spent weeks researching, reading blogs, and piecing together a loose itinerary. I learned about local customs, memorized a few key phrases, and packed a first aid kit. Ultimately, choosing to go solo was a commitment to myself. It was a declaration that I was enough. I wanted to see the world through my own eyes, unfiltered by anyone else's opinions or moods. I wanted to sit in silence and watch the sunset. Traveling solo, especially as a woman, safety is always the first dance partner you have to learn to move with. In Kenya, this dance is one of awareness and respect. It meant dressing modestly, especially in rural or coastal areas, to show respect for the local culture. It meant not walking alone in cities after dark, a rule I'd follow in any major city. The most powerful tool for safety, I discovered, was human connection. The guest house owner who advised me on which bus to take, the shopkeeper who walked me to the correct matatu stage. These small acts of kindness created an invisible web of safety around me. This foundation of safety unlocked an incredible sense of freedom. My days were unscripted. One morning I might decide to hike a nearby hill. Another day I might spend the afternoon in a small cafe writing in my journal. Every day presented a small challenge that built my confidence, navigating a bustling bus station, ordering a meal, or striking up a conversation with a stranger. I was not just a passive observer of Kenya, I was an active participant in my own journey. I was learning to find my feet, not just on dusty roads, but on the path of my own life. This trip to Kenya was my chance to meet myself, to discover my own strength, resilience, and capacity for joy in its purest form. My process began not with guidebooks, but with conversations. In Nairobi, I talked to taxi drivers, university students, gallery owners. I asked one simple question: where would you take a friend to see the real Kenya? Their eyes would light up. Remote lakes, quiet mountain sanctuaries, and little-known parks were named again and again. Turkana, Saiwa, Taita. They began to form a constellation on my map. I cross-referenced names on online forums, read long-form blogs, and tracked tips from adventurous Kenyans. A geologist sent me to Lake Turkana. A conservation student pointed me to Saiwa. A woman on the coast told me about the Taita Hills. Choosing them was an act of trust. Trust in strangers' recommendations and in my ability to handle rugged travel. I was piecing together a puzzle. The emerging image, a wilder, more diverse, breathtakingly beautiful Kenya. The journey to Lake Turkana is a pilgrimage. It's a multi-day odyssey that takes you north from the lush highlands of central Kenya into a landscape that grows progressively harsher and more dramatic. Green fields turn to red earth, scattered acacia, volcanic rock. Cresting a rocky ridge, I saw it, the Jade Sea, turquoise and jade-green water shimmering in a sun-baked desert, an inland ocean stretching to the horizon, dotted with volcanic islands, hot, dry air and a relentless wind whipping across the water. I spent time with the El Molo people, one of Kenya's smallest, most isolated tribes. Fishermen pushing off in simple wooden rafts, doom palm fronds woven into distinctive huts, fresh tilapia grilled over an open flame. No tourist shows, no souvenir stalls, just raw, authentic life. Leaving felt like waking from a strange, beautiful dream. The journey back south was arduous, but my perspective had shifted. I witnessed resilience in people and landscape. Turkana demands effort, patience, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. The reward sinks deep into your soul. After the vast, arid expanse of Turkana, arriving at Saiwa Swamp felt like stepping into another dimension. Located near Kitale in western Kenya, this is the country's smallest national park, a tiny sliver of protected wetland. There are no roads here. Walking trails and rustic wooden viewing platforms let you get close to the life of the swamp. The air was cool and damp, thick with the scent of wet earth and wildflowers. The silence was broken only by a chorus of chirping insects and exotic bird calls. The park was created specifically to protect the sitatunga, a rare, semi-aquatic antelope with elongated splayed hooves. Spotting one became my quiet obsession. I would spend hours on observation decks, binoculars pressed to my eyes, scanning the reeds and lily pads. I saw flashes of brilliant blue from a malachite kingfisher. I watched mischievous DeBratz's monkeys leap through the canopy. I listened to the haunting cry of the crowned crane. My accommodation was a simple banda just outside the park. The local community is deeply involved in the park's conservation. A guide named Samuel explained medicinal plants, shared folklore about forest spirits, and spoke with immense pride about their efforts to protect this unique habitat. On my final morning, just as the sun began to burn off the mist, I saw it, a pair of sitatunga, moving gracefully through the water. A fleeting, magical moment, a reward for my patience. My journey then took me southeast toward the border with Tanzania, a place that felt like a secret garden suspended in the sky, the Taita Hills. These hills rise from the dry plains below, their peaks often shrouded in mist, an ancient fragment of the Eastern Arc Mountains famed for incredible biodiversity and unique species. I hiked narrow trails daily with a local guide identifying calls, Taita apellis, Taita thrush. Challenging hikes led to viewpoints with breathtaking panoramas of the plains. On a clear day, Kilimanjaro sat as a hazy silhouette on the horizon. Visiting a local homestead was powerful. They cultivate terraced shambas, and I shared kamanga, cassava, and sweet potatoes, and heard stories of sacred skull caves. Taita Hills Wildlife Sanctuary offered a different experience. Elephants, lions, buffalo, and a stilted lodge with incredible balcony wildlife views. Taita Hills were more than a destination, a place of healing, cool mountain air, peaceful forests, warm hospitality. It felt like a balm for the soul after weeks of rugged travel. Embarking on a solo adventure in Kenya's hidden corners is incredibly rewarding, but a little practical knowledge goes a long way. Pack a water filter bottle, bring a universal adapter, a small first aid kit, and a Swahili phrasebook. For getting around, embrace the local way. Matatus, minibuses, are the lifeblood of the country. Cheap, frequent, and an adventure in themselves. For longer distances, comfortable intercity buses are a great option. Don't be afraid to ask locals for help. They'll point you to the right bus and tell you the fair price. For very remote areas like Turkana, you may need to hire a 4x4 or find a spot on a shared truck, which requires patience and flexibility. Look beyond big hotels. Guest houses are simple, clean, affordable, and fantastic places to meet locals and other travelers. In remote areas, you might find community-run campsites or homestays. Budget-wise, Kenya can be very affordable. A solo traveler can comfortably get by on $30.50/day by eating at local eateries, using public transport, and staying in guest houses. Always carry a mix of cash, Kenyan shillings, and have a card for emergencies. Safety is mostly about common sense and cultural respect. Dress modestly in rural and coastal Islamic areas. Avoid displaying expensive electronics. Keep copies of documents separate. Invest in a local SIM, use maps and M-Pesa for mobile money. Trust your gut. If a situation feels off, remove yourself. Learn a few words. Jambo, Asante, Pol. The flight back home is always a strange experience. The world outside the window shifts from the red earth of Kenya to a blanket of clouds. I left Kenya with dusty boots, a backpack full of souvenirs, and a camera full of photos. But I brought back something far more valuable. This solo journey was a crucible. It melted my fears and forged a quiet confidence. I learned I am more resilient, resourceful, and braver than I gave myself credit for. Now, I want to pass that call to adventure on to you. You don't have to go to Kenya. Go somewhere that pushes you. Pack your bag, book that ticket, take that first step. Share your dream solo destinations and subscribe for more unconventional travel guides. Share and subscribe for more insightful information on beautiful African countries.